Have you ever looked at a shiny piece of metal and thought, wait, why do we call it that? Take bronze, for instance. It's a mix of copper and tin, a legendary alloy that basically defined an entire chapter of human history. But where did the name bronze even come from? It sounds kind of fancy, a bit old school. Who decided that this particular blend of metals deserved such a distinct, almost regal name? It's not like we call steel iron carbon in everyday conversation. So, what's the deal with bronze? The answer is a wild ride through ancient history, linguistics, and the surprisingly messy way language evolves. It has a story that has less about one person having a brilliant idea and more about a name slowly catching on, like a viral trend that takes centuries to peak. To get to the bottom of this, we need to rewind the clock way back. We're talking about a time when the world was connected by sprawling trade routes, where merchants, sailors, and artisans were the original influencers. These weren't just highways for goods like spices, textiles, and, of course, metals. They were also superhighways for ideas, culture, and words. As copper and tin moved from mines to markets across the Mediterranean and beyond, the words used to describe them traveled to languages bumped into each other, borrowed from each other, and remixed terms in a massive continental-scale game of telephone. This is where the origin story of bronze really begins. Not in a lab, but on a dusty trade route, probably shouted over the clatter of a busy port. So, let's follow the linguistic breadcrumbs. Most scholars and etymologists trace the word bronze back through a few key languages. The immediate suspects are Italian and French. The Italian word is bronzo, and the Old French word is, you guessed it, bronze. These terms were popping up in medieval Europe as this super useful metal alloy was being traded and crafted into everything from church bells to cannons. It seems like the name really started to solidify in the Romance languages, spreading from there. Think of it like a medieval branding campaign that nobody planned. The material was so important, so widespread, that it needed a name that was short, sweet, and easy to say. Whether you were a blacksmith in Florence or a merchant in Paris. But hold on, that just pushes the question back a step. Where did the Italians and French get the word from? This is where things get a little hazy and super interesting. One popular theory connects it to a Persian word, barinj, which means copper. It's totally plausible that, as the metal or the knowledge of it moved west from the Middle East, the name tagged along for the ride, morphing and changing as it passed through different cultures and languages. Another theory points to a Byzantine Greek term, brontazine, which might be linked to the city of Brindisi in southern Italy, a major port in ancient times known for its metalwork. The idea is that the metal became associated with the place it was famously exported from, kind of like how we call certain cheeses by their city of origin, like Parmesan or Gouda. So, it could be the metal from Brindisi. We don't have a definitive slam-dunk answer, which honestly makes the story even cooler. It's a linguistic mystery wrapped in a historical enigma. Now, what's really fascinating is that before the word bronze became the go-to term, people didn't really have a single universal name for it. If you were an ancient craftsperson, you were more concerned with the practical side of things. You wouldn't say, hey, pass me that chunk of bronze. You'd probably talk about the ingredients. It was all about the recipe. A bit of this, a lot of that. You'd refer to it as copper mixed with tin or something similar. The focus was on the process, on the act of creation. The function of the material was way more important than giving it a catchy brand name. After all, this alloy was a game changer. It was harder and more durable than pure copper, which meant you could make stronger tools, sharper weapons, and longer-lasting artifacts. Though what it does mattered way more than what it's called. But as civilizations started to rely on this supermetal, things began to shift. The alloy of copper and tin wasn't just a material anymore. It became a symbol. It represented power, technology, and wealth. Armies equipped with bronze swords and shields had a massive advantage. Societies that mastered bronze making could build more complex tools, create stunning art, and establish themselves as regional powerhouses. As bronze tools, weapons, and statues spread across the ancient world, the need for a consistent name grew. The word, whatever its specific origin, rode along with the material itself, becoming synonymous with strength, innovation, and status. It was a label that said, this isn't just any old metal. This is the good stuff. The word bronze stuck because the material it described was just that influential. It was a killer app of the ancient world, and it needed a killer name to go with it. And here's the part that really blows my mind. There was no single inventor who sat down one day and declared, "I shall call this alloy ... bronze." It didn't happen like that at all. The naming of bronze was a slow, organic, almost accidental process. It was a crowdsourced label shaped over centuries by countless anonymous people. Think about the merchants haggling in bustling marketplaces, the smiths trading secrets in their smoky workshops, the soldiers describing their gear, and just everyday people talking. Each conversation, each transaction, each little mention helped to cement the word bronze in the collective consciousness. It's a perfect example of how language isn't handed down from on high by experts. It bubbles up from the ground, from the daily lives and interactions of ordinary people. The name became popular simply because it was useful, and over time, it just felt right. What's even more wild is how the script got flipped later on. Usually, we name things within an era, but bronze was so transformative, so fundamentally important to the development of human civilization, that historians eventually named an entire era after it. We talk about the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. The material literally defined the period. That's how you know you've made it, when an entire chunk of history carries your name. The Bronze Age wasn't called that by the people living in it, of course. It was a label applied thousands of years later by scholars looking back and recognizing the profound impact this one alloy had on everything, from warfare and agriculture to art and society. The name bronze became so powerful that it reached back in time to brand its own epic chapter in the human story. Fast forward to today, say the word bronze, and what pops into your head? You probably think of Olympic medals, the symbol for third place, a hard-won achievement. You might picture majestic statues in a city park, weathered and green, but still standing strong after centuries. Or maybe it just triggers a vague memory from a history class textbook. That's the power of a name. The word bronze carries all this cultural weight, all this history, packed into a single syllable. It's a shortcut to a whole world of ideas about competition, endurance, art, and antiquity. The technology has long since evolved. We have steel, titanium, and all sorts of advanced composites, now but the name bronze endures, loaded with meaning that goes far beyond its chemical composition. It's a testament to how words can absorb and hold onto cultural significance long after their original context has changed. So, when you really get down to it, the origin of the word bronze isn't just a boring linguistic footnote. It's a story about human connection. It shows us that for as long as we've been trading goods, we've also been trading ideas. Language travels with innovation. As new technologies and materials spread from one culture to another, the words we use to describe them come along for the journey, adapting and evolving as they go. The journey of the word bronze from some ancient, half-forgotten term to a globally recognized name is a miniature history of human interaction, of how we share knowledge and build a common understanding of the world around us. It's a reminder that behind every word we use, there's a hidden story of migration, trade, and cultural exchange. Next time you see a bronze statue or hear someone mention the Bronze Age, take a second to think about it. That simple, solid-sounding word is the result of a long and winding journey through history. It's a name that wasn't invented, but evolved. A label that became legendary because the material itself changed the world. From a functional mix of copper and tin to a symbol of an entire era. The story of bronze is a perfect example of how language and history are locked together, shaping each other over thousands of years. It's a story written not by one person, but by all of us, through the simple act of naming the world we create. Thanks for hanging out and exploring this awesome linguistic rabbit hole with me. If you dig this kind of stuff, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you in the next one.